everybody, to the Arrowverse Crossover Crisis Podcast. I'm your host, Ashley, and today we're reviewing the last episode of Crisis on Infinite Earths, Part 5, from Legends of Tomorrow, Season 5, Episode 1. So this is the last episode of Crisis on Infinite Earths. We left off with Spectre defeating the Anti-Monitor and rebirthing a new universe. So we're sort of done with the real kind of crisis of the whole antimatter wiping away the multiverse and what the Paragon's going to do. So we kind of put that storyline aside, and now we're jumping into a new storyline. So let's get into it. We start off with Kara awakes in her apartment, and she remembers everything that's happened, but this is a new universe. And so everybody she knows, her sister, everybody at the DEO, they are continuing on their lives as if this is the only universe that they know. Which is kind of interesting because it is sort of like, well, you know, Kara doesn't know this universe. Is she going to get memories back of what happened to her in this version of this new universe? Why insert the Paragons at this particular point in this new universe? It kind of opens up a lot of questions, really. Why give them their memories back, I guess. But we sort of addressed that. But so she gets a call from Nia, who tells her to come down to the Nobel Peace Prize ceremony. And guess who gets the Nobel Peace Prize? It's none other than Lex Luthor. So Kara is completely shocked that Lex is a good guy in this universe. He's getting the Nobel Peace Prize. Nia says it couldn't happen to, a much more deserving person. It's just blowing her mind. He owns the DEO now. Like, everybody in this universe thinks Lex is the good guy. Which kind of goes back to, sort of like a saying of, villains are the heroes of their own stories. And, Lex says, I think I don't know when it was, I think it was a post-credit scene on one of the shows, he says that, he is the hero. He tells the Monitor, I was always the hero. And so, he always saw himself as the hero, and he saw himself as Superman and Supergirl are the villains. And so it's kind of interesting that in this world, they're both the heroes, right? He's the hero with, I assume he doesn't have powers. We don't actually, now that I think about it, we don't actually see Lex for the rest of the episode. Or maybe we do, I don't remember. I don't believe he has the superpower upgrade that he had when he used the Book of Destiny. But so he's just a good guy just doing good charitable work, apparently. So it's kind of funny, and then Supergirl gets a call to go down to the pier and fight none other than Weather Witch, who was a villain, I think, last season on The Flash. And so, of course, The Flash shows up. He's like, hey, this is my villain. Hey, what are you doing here, Supergirl? And that's when it's revealed that the rebirth has brought all of the heroes onto one Earth. Yay! So Supergirl no longer resides on Earth 38. She is on the same Earth as Barry. So yay, more crossovers maybe, or I don't know, maybe easier for crossovers, at least in terms of the characters in the universe. The shows, who knows if they'll cross over, but so that's kind of an interesting little twist, is that they're all on the same Earth now. There's not only one Earth, because multiverses continue to grow and expand, but they are all on this one rebirthed Earth, known as Earth Prime, that we find out eventually. So then we have J'onn J'onzz, tells Supergirl, we remember everything because we're the Paragons. Somebody has to remember what happened, right? And so he goes around to all of these side characters outside the Paragons. It kind of restores anybody's memory if they were involved in the crisis. So he goes around to Ray Palmer. He restores his memory. I assume at some point he restores Alex's memory, but she didn't seem to know when she first meets Supergirl, so maybe after that point, he restores Alex's memory and Nia's memories, Brainy's. So he restores Ray Palmer's, because Sarah goes to Ray, confused. He goes around, he restores Caitlin, and we get Caitlin for a scene, which is nice. And he restores Caitlin's memory, he restores Nash Wells' memory. Of course, Nash Wells woke up in the underground tunnel where he was trying to unleash the Anti-Monitor. And so he was unconscious. Kate sort of revives him, and it's actually an interesting scene. J'onn J'onzz is super, super angry at him. He's like furious. He's yelling at him, "This is all your fault." And then Nash Wells is kind of dismissive at first until J'onn restores his memories of what happened and how he unleashed the Anti-Monitor. He became the pariah, and all these bad things happened because of him. And so then Nash Wells is kind of humbled a little bit and like, oh crap, I caused all this terrible stuff to happen. So it's a good little scene. I like it actually. And of course I like that everybody remembers John Jones. Like we don't get a whole lot of John Jones interacting with the side characters, and so it's kind of good to see him. This was his role in the crisis, is to restore the memories. Right, he's the paragon of honor. Right, they have to honor the legacy of the crisis and what happened, so he can restore their memories. That's kind of interesting. I just thought of that actually. I like that. He goes around and stores all their memories, and then we get Sarah she goes to the old Arrow cave, and she talks to the Arrow team about where's Oliver, and, they're like, Oliver's not here, he didn't make it, or I don't know if they know in their new universe how Oliver died. But again, John shows up, gives them the new memories, and they're like, oh no, Oliver's dead, he died twice. It's a real kind of a sad scene with Diggle. It's like, I wasn't there for either times that he died. He was my brother. I should have been there. So that's actually really sad. Diggle was very underused throughout the rest of the crisis. So this is kind of his episode. And then, of course, we get the giant Bebo attack. Bebo being a Legends of Tomorrow character, that I believe. And so Sarah kind of has to call in the legends. So we get Nate, played by Nick Zano. He's the Steel character. And then we get some new girl who I don't recognize. So I have no idea who she is and what her name was or what her character was, because she seems very, very new. So I don't know who she is. But we get Nick, and then Nick kind of mentions, oh, you were roped into another crossover, right? And there we get that term again, crossover. I really don't like the characters calling them crossovers, because that's just way too meta, and it's always played for kind of a joke, like wink wink. I don't like it. It's just a team up. You're in another team up, right? But of course Sarah's like, yeah, it kind of was, but it's more than that. And so, anyway, I just don't like the term crossover. But that's really all we get from Nate and this new girl, actually. They're just kind of on the Wave Rider, kind of listening in the background. And then we get a great scene with Mick Rory doing book signings of his romance novels. I loved Mick. I think it was the second episode where he's babysitting little baby Jonathan Kent and he's reading him his romance novels. I love that. So, of course, here we get Mick doing book signings for those romance novels. So in this Rebirth universe, Mick is still the romance writer, which I just think is hilarious, and it's so great, and it's so sort of, out of sync with, what you would think with the character. So I think it's, I love it. It's great. So then we get all the heroes kind of teaming up, seeing we get Supergirl, Flash, and Ray Palmer with Sarah at Arrow Cave headquarters, kind of, being the voice in their head. Quarterbacking, I think, was the term previously used. But, so they're trying to figure out what they're going to do with Bebo. And, of course, Batwoman comes in. And I love Kara's excitement when Kate shows up. She's like, oh, hey, Kate's here. Which I think Kate was always on the Earth. So, but I don't know what she's doing in Star City. So it almost appears as if each city is like, just a hop, skip, and a jump away from each other. Like, it looks like Central City and National City were, like, right next to each other. And I don't know if it's because National City maybe didn't exist already on the Flash universe, Earth 1, and maybe it only existed on Earth 38, and so they kind of had to bring it in and just plop it in its own location. It kind of reminds me of Batman versus Superman, where Gotham City and Metropolis are just, across the bay from each other. Which, I mean, happens in real world. San Francisco and Oakland are literally just across the bay from each other. But it does kind of seem like they kind of made National City, Central City, and then Star City's right over there for this new universe. So I guess maybe Gotham City's right there too. Again, right across the bay. So maybe we'll get some more team-ups with all the characters. We don't know. But I do love Kara's excitement that Kate's there. I really like their sort of bonding during this whole crossover. That's one of the things I like, is their character development as friends. So I like that a lot. And then, so they kind of figure out that the Bebo is kind of just a distraction for this criminal to rob a bank. So that's kind of a little anticlimactic. I don't really know what we're doing with all of that, because then the actual rest of the story plot kicks in. Ash Wells ends up tracking antimatter to Star City, and so they figure out that the Anti-Monitor is back somehow. I don't know how. There's always an Anti-Monitor, who knows? He can't be defeated. So they figure out, we're gonna need to try and stop the anti-monitor, because they find out the shadow demons are there. So where the shadow demons are, that means the anti-monitor's there. So that becomes the real plot of the rest of the episode. And then we jump to Barry and Sarah at a park bench talking about Oliver's death. And this is a great scene, and this is one of the things that I love about these crossovers, is when we get characters talking to each other in the dialogue. And so it's great. Sarah sort of recalls her childhood with Laurel, and how she's a sore loser, and she's recalling her experience with Oliver in the past. And she has this great speech about how Oliver was her last connection to her past before she became the assassin, or before she went on the ship with Oliver. Like, he's the last person to know her original self. And I thought that was kind of really interesting, and it kind of sort of is symbolic that with Oliver's gone, this old version of Sarah's past has also died as well. And so it was a really good scene. Again, I love the Sarah and Oliver stuff that we get in these crossovers. I love that Barry's the one that's there for her, because Barry's had also kind of an interesting relationship with Oliver. He knew Oliver before he was the Flash. And so it's a really good scene, and, it's kind of a little bit bittersweet and sad for Sarah that, he's her sister's gone, her dad's gone, now Oliver's gone. He's the last person to know the real her. And she does say, she is glad that she has the Legends. They have been her family for a while. But I think with Oliver there, it was her sort of last attachment, sort of holding her back from really embracing the Legends as her new family, and this new chapter of her life that has been going on for years now, but maybe she hasn't fully accepted it, I think. And so Oliver's death is kind of that for her, which is again, it's a really great scene. I really do love Barry and Sarah talking. Of course, Barry kind of talks about his experiences, and she says, when did you become the wise one? And I kind of wanted Barry to be like, well, I had a good mentor, kind of as saying Oliver was his mentor, and he's only the hero that he is because of Oliver. So it's a really good scene, actually. I don't believe we get any Oliver or even a shot of Oliver in this episode, which is kind of interesting. But so then they get attacked by the shadow demons because they're hunting the Paragons, and so they gather all the Paragons up, and they're side characters as well. And Ryan Choi and Ray Palmer come up with the idea. Well, Ryan Choi mainly, but Ray Palmer can help. They come up with the idea to shrink the Anti-Monitor indefinitely, and that kind of reminded me of Ant-Man. The quantum realm. Where Hank Pym says, if you turn off the regulator, you're going to shrink, for all of time or something. And so that's kind of what I thought that is what they meant when they said, they're going to make the Anti-Monitor to shrink forever. And Ray says it's the Atomverse, and then Ryan Choi says it's the Microverse, and then Ray says something about, there might be copyright laws with that. So that's a good scene. I like that Ryan Choi is the one that comes up with the idea, because again, I think it proves why he was a Paragon to begin with, and I think it also will explain why he takes over Ray Palmer's Atom, because Brandon Routh wants to leave the Legends. So it's kind of a good little scene. I like it. So Ryan Choi and Ray go off to make this device, and Mick goes to sort of protect them at Star Labs with Frost also. And then we get these sort of big team-up moments. The lineup, we get Flash, Sarah, Kara, Kate, J'onn J'onzz, Alex, Superman, Diggle, Nia, and Wild Dog. So those are kind of two interesting additions in the end. Nia is actually fairly powerful with her powers, but I did notice that, three of these characters, they just have guns. Alex, Diggle, and Wild Dog, all they have is guns. So, I don't know how useful they are, but it's still a really cool team-up shot, and I just love the team. And it's kind of like this is the new team going forward, minus Oliver, obviously, it's really sad not seeing him there in the lineup. And so they fight the Shadow Demons, and then the Shadow Demons sort of turn into the Anti-Monitor, which is kind of a weird scene. And then back at Star Labs, Mick and Frost are guarding Ryan and Ray, and they're taking out some Shadow Demons, and then we get Black Lightning, Black Lightning comes in, he takes out a Shadow Demon, he introduces himself. He mentions that J'onn J'onzz had given his memories back, so Black Lightning's he's back in the crossover. But I did think, how did J'onn J'onzz know to find Black Lightning? Because Black Lightning, I believe, was on a different Earth. I don't remember exactly which Earth they said he was from, exactly, but he was on a different Earth. So now he is also on the same Earth as the main characters as well. So Black Lightning and Supergirl's Earths are merged with the Flash Arrow Earths now. So he comes in, and I don't know how J'onn found him. And, Black Lightning only played he played kind of a big part, but it was a small scene in terms of the whole crossover. I don't know how well he got introduced to everybody. And so, why did J'onn J'onzz give Black Lightning his memory back? I mean, I guess he just gave everybody who was involved their memories back of the crisis. But it kind of seems, Black Lightning in, the end of episode 3, he lost his family, he lost his daughters, he lost his Earth. It's kind of a lot of suffering to put on this guy that they just met. He could have just let him go on, not knowing anything. But, again, I think we want to bring Black Lightning into more crossovers. And so the way to do that is have him remember what happened and his involvement. And I'm not saying, it's bad for J'onn J'onzz. I love to bring Black Lightning in more. But it's kind of like, well, why did J'onn J'onzz do that? Because now you're just giving this guy traumatic memories of his family and his Earth dying. But I do love seeing Black Lightning there. And then so we jump back and to them fighting the Anti-Monitor. And so the Anti-Monitor has like this little bubble that he puts up around him to prevent the heroes from attacking him. Sarah says, "We will not fail this world." Which again is sort of kind of a play on Oliver's line of "you have failed the city," or in the last episode, "you have failed the universe." So she says, "We will not fail this world." And she says, "For Oliver." And they all say, "For Oliver." So it's kind of a nice little moment of, trying to pay homage to Oliver in this fight scene, because he should be there. And so the Anti-Monitor's got this bubble that, kind of protects him. And then he ends up growing bigger. And it kind of reminded me of, I'm not going to lie, Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie. It reminded me of Ivan Ooze. Like, first off, he's got this weird, deformed kind of face. And he's kind of blue. Ivan Ooze is purple. But he kind of grows. And just kind of the CGI, I think, looked very gummy. And it kind of reminded me of Ivan Ooze from the Power Rangers movie. At the end, where he grows himself into the big monster to fight the Megazord. So that's kind of my thought. Did anybody else catch the think of Ivan Ooze either? But anyway, so we got a giant Anti-Monitor, and Ray comes in just in time with the shrinking sphere. Actually, Barry goes over there to assemble it quicker because they were moving a little slow, I guess. So Ray comes in, he has the shrinking sphere, he tells Kara to throw it like a girl. She throws it so that they can destroy the Anti-Monitor. And it's kind of, I don't know why he says throw it like a girl. She throws it like a girl because, the term throw it like a girl is kind of a negative connotation for saying you throw a ball really badly. And I don't know, the way the actress threw it, it looked very non-effective. So I don't really like that line, throw it like a girl. I guess they're going with the whole women empowerment thing. Is she's Supergirl, she can throw it really hard, right? So throw it like a girl. But again, I don't think it worked really well. But so anyway, they get rid of the Anti-Monitor by having him shrink for infinity. So it's kind of an interesting wrap-up for the Anti-Monitor story. We don't get the Monitor in this. Partially because the actor who plays the Monitor plays the Anti-Monitor as well. So now that the Anti-Monitor is gone, the heroes, I guess, go to the president and tell them everything that happened with the crisis and how Oliver's a hero. And so you get the president giving this speech about, the heroes saving the world from the crisis, how Oliver Queen gave his life to rebuild the new universe. I don't know how much they told them. I don't know if they told them that this universe is basically has not existed forever. Like, this is new universe. Pretty much all your memories are fake, or maybe not fake, but, you had previous lives. I don't know if they mentioned all that stuff, but there were some new changes to this universe. So Diggle has a son and a daughter, which if we go back to the Invasion crossover, that was a big deal where Barry admitted that him doing Flashpoint caused Diggle to erase Diggle's daughter. So he has a daughter now. Superman has 2 sons, or I don't know if it's 2 or more, but they say sons plural, so. And then, of course, we have all these different Earths. And so Earth 2, which previously was the home of Harry Wells and his daughter, Earth 2 is now the home of Stargirl, which I know is a new DC Universe show. And then Earth 12 is home of the Green Lanterns, the Lantern Corps. So I believe they're also in development of the Green Lantern Corps TV show. So that is on Earth 12. And then Swamp Thing is on Earth 19. That is a DC Universe streaming show. Titans is still on Earth 9, which we briefly saw in a quick cameo in one of the second crossover, or the first crossover, I think. So they're still on Earth 9. And then Doom Patrol is on Earth 21. So they are not on the same Earth as Titans, nor Swamp Thing. So that's kind of cool. And then, of course, we get Earth 96 is the Brandon Routh Superman. Not wearing the Kingdom Come uniform, so I don't know if it's before that or what, or if he went back to a different suit. But that's Earth 96. And then, so Earth Prime is where our current heroes are. So we end the episode with them gathering at the Hall of Justice, which, of course, is the abandoned airplane hangar of Star Labs. Barry calls it an old science research. Clearly on the inside, it's an airplane hangar, guys. I don't know who we're fooling with this. On the outside, it's clearly just a fake CGI facade that looks like maybe it was some fancy, Hall of Justice science building, whatever. But let's face it, on the inside, it's an airplane hangar, guys. It's a warehouse, right? Like, I wish they would be a little bit more consistent with this Hall of Justice. But anyway, Sarah gives a nice little speech to everybody, and then we have Black Lightning there. So I believe it's Black Lightning, Supergirl, Superman, Batwoman, Barry, Sarah, maybe somebody else. And so it's the Hall of Justice. And then I do like the call out of Black Lightning. He's like, well, how often does the Earth need saving? And then they just look at him. And he's like, oh, that often? And I like Batwoman's like, don't worry, I was the new guy last year. Because, of course, she was in Elseworlds. Yay. So it's kind of official. Black Lightning is a part of this little team up that we have, this sort of pseudo Justice League, I guess, for the Arrowverse. And then so Barry reveals that he has this little table, this round table, and each of them has a chair, and there's also a chair for Oliver too, which I thought was really sweet. Even though Oliver's not longer here, it's symbolic because Oliver started this whole thing. So I do love that little touch. And then they all just sit around, and I thought, well, what are they talking about? What kind of conversations are they having around this table? But it's a good moment. It's a good ending. And then, of course, they hear something, and we just cut to a cage that's open, and it says Gleek on it. Gleek. Gleek? I have no idea what that is. It sounds like, to me, it sounded like one of the imp creatures. But I have no idea what it is. So if anybody knows what Gleek is, please let me know. I don't know if what show this is gonna pop up on. Who knows? Is it gonna be on The Flash? Is it gonna be handled on Legends? I don't know. So it's a little teaser that, hey, there's this Gleek thing running around. So that's gonna be interesting. But it is gonna be interesting seeing everybody now that they're all in the same world. I guess Krypton is back also, and it's just floating in space still. So Kara's got her mom still, I guess. So, yeah, this was a good episode of the crossover, actually. This is a good episode of Crisis. This actually might be my favorite episode of Crisis. And that's kind of the end of the episode, really. Just ends with the Hall of Justice. So, yeah, this is my favorite episode of the Crisis. Probably my favorite moment? I don't know. There's actually a lot of really good moments in this. It might be the end scene, actually, at the Hall of Justice. Or, I just like everything almost in this episode. Maybe sort of the big team-up lineup shot was also really cool. And actually, no, my favorite part is Barry and Sarah on the park bench talking. I think that's a really great scene. I like it a lot. So that's definitely my favorite part of this episode. So that's it for Crisis on Infinite Earths, the crossover actually. So thank you all for listening for that. My quick thoughts on the Crisis as a whole. I am not a huge fan of this crossover, to be honest. I think there's some really awesome moments in it. Again, I really like this episode. But I think overall, as a whole, it's very It's not very consistent. It's sort of disjointed. It's kind of broken up into like 3 different parts. It doesn't feel cohesive. That's the word I'm looking for. It doesn't feel very cohesive as a whole crossover. For instance, the first episode was sort of like a mini crossover, right? Where we're dealing with the Monitor and the antimatter wave on 38, and so that in itself feels like a crossover event. But of course, then that's dealt with, and R38's wiped out by the end of the episode. And then episodes 2 and 3, they deal with the Paragon issue, and which was not set up in the first, or maybe it was, I don't remember. But I don't believe it was really set up in the first episode. Episodes 2 and 3, they feel like they could have just been one episode. They feel a little bit stretched out. And then episode 4, because at the end of episode 3, there's no more universe. And so that feels like the end of Crisis of in itself. And then so episode 4 is let's clean up the mess, let's fix it, and they do. And then this episode 5, feels kind of like a reboot. It's like a reboot. It's like this is the universe, this is the Arrowverse going forward. So it doesn't feel like one cohesive crossover to me. And there's a lot of things that are set up, a lot of things that aren't explained. There's a lot of useless cameos, but and there's just not enough character interactions, especially in episodes 2 and 3, because we're too busy doing a lot of insert cameos, and everybody's split up. But my favorite part about the Arrowverse crossovers has always been the character interactions, especially Barry, Kara, and Oliver, and we didn't get a final scene with the 3. And that, to me, is very disappointing. We did get Barry, Sarah, and Oliver in his death, but yeah, overall, this has kind of been a disappointing crossover. It's going to be on the bottom end of my rankings if I were to rank the crossovers. It's definitely below Elseworlds. It's definitely below Crisis on Earth X, and I think it's definitely below Invasion. I think probably just a step up above the Heroes Join Forces setup of Legends of Tomorrow crossover, the 2-parter. It's probably better than that. But that was also one whole storyline. So yeah, I don't know. This just feels, it's kind of a letdown. Again, there's a lot of great stuff. And I guess part of it is that it is 5 parts, so it does feel really daunting. Like, I felt even the longevity of Crisis on Earth X. I felt that could have even been done in 3 parts. It felt a bit stretched out. So this is 5 parts. It really kind of feels too stretched out. But again, I really do love this last episode, part 5. I thought it was the best. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts. What do you guys feel about this episode? What do you guys feel about Crisis on Infinite Earths as a whole? Do you guys really love it? You guys love the cameos? You guys, maybe some of you think it was one cohesive storyline. Or are some of you disappointed like I am? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you all for listening. I apologize again for still being sick. Hopefully I will get better soon. But this is not the end of the Arrowverse Crossover Crisis podcast, so stay tuned. I do have Crisis on Earth X recorded and Elseworlds recorded. They just need to come out, so pay attention. Look out for those. Also, I got a request for a bonus episode, the very first introduction of Barry Allen before he was the Flash. So stay tuned for those as well. Thank you all for listening. And until next time, I'll catch you in the next Crisis. Or actually, I guess we're done with the Crises. I'll catch you in the next crossover.